hands were always full of palatable things he couldn't find in the scrub or in the mountains. But the town was too far away, and he was hungry now. Maybe he had come back too early. If he had stayed to the south 1 week longer, the deer mice would be scurrying. Maybe the birds would be building nests. Birds were easy to trick. Coyote quit thinking about his hunger when he heard the screeching of tires on pavement. A moment later, there was a thud. Maybe a door being slammed. Coyote's ears searched the night sounds, trying to pick out a direction. Another sound. More tires grinding on gravel. 2 voices. Men's voices. Yelling at each other. Coyote began a cautious trot toward the sound. It came from the other side of a small hill. If there was one thing more overpowering in his life than hunger, it was his curiosity. A beam of light silhouetted the sagebrush along the top of the hill. Coyote stopped and waited to see if the light came any closer. It didn't. The 2 voices began yelling at each other again, and the light they had been shining disappeared. There were 2 more thuds, similar to the first one. Doors again. 2 engines roared. Then came the frenzied sound of gravel being crushed and kicked by tires. Coyote had to know what this was all about. He decided, however, to go around the knoll so he could avoid where the light had shined. He kept his nose high so that he could smell the night air better. Almost all the other smells of the high desert were smothered by the odor of the metal monsters the humans used. The gaseous cloud gradually started to dissipate, and Coyote began to discern another scent. Strong. Human. It was the smell of blood. A new day was beginning to stir. The eastern stars were being wrapped in the pale blue cloak of dawn. In an hour, Father Sun would stretch his arms above the horizon and pull himself into the morning sky. To Coyote, it made little difference. His realm was the night. Even if there had been no moon, he could see as well as Brother Owl. His yellow eyes searched the low brush on either side of him, looking for the source of the scent. As he rounded the bottom of the hill, he spotted the still body of a man behind a small tuft of sage. The man was hiding, Coyote guessed, so he could not be seen from the road. Coyote sniffed the air once more. There were no other humans around. Using all the caution he could muster, he approached the man. Coyote was impressed at how well the man could stay motionless. It reminded him of a rabbit hunkering in the weeds. Coyote circled the body, stopping occasionally to sniff. Finally, after several minutes of hesitation, he let his cold, damp nose touch the man's finger. Coyote immediately jumped back when the man's eyes sprang open. At first, the eyes registered fear and surprise, then bewilderment. The man raised his head ever so slightly and blinked as he tried to focus his gaze. The eyes. The eyes dissolved from bewilderment to realization to recognition. "You." The man's voice was barely a whisper as he locked his stare on Coyote's eyes. Coyote had seen the stare before. It was the stare of a man who, standing on the brink of eternity, had just had all things revealed to him. He had no more fear of dying, because a part of him had already crossed over. In that one moment before complete surrender, he could see all things as the Great Spirit had created them. He could see Coyote. "You must help your children," the man gasped. "It is in your power." The last word was no more than a breath escaping as the man's head dropped to the ground. Coyote watched the life force drift into the starry sky to become part of the cosmic ocean. The chilly air became pungent with the smell of death. It had been a long time since Coyote had been near a dead human. He had nearly forgotten the odor. Cocking his head to one side, he stared at the body. He pondered what he should do. There were all sorts of humans in the world. White men, black men, red men. Only red men were true human beings. Coyote knew that from his ancient memory. Only red men told the true stories of creation. At least some of them still did. Only red men remembered Coyote. Coyote who had been there at the beginning. Coyote who could change shape at will. Coyote the Trickster. The man Coyote now stared at was a red man. Coyote knew the rules of the true human beings. It was important that the dead be buried. Even though the life force was gone, the spirit remained. If a man wasn't buried, his spirit might never rest. His spirit would hide in the shadows of the night and